Hello everybody, welcome to Minimalist Gourmet, Seth here. Today I'll be showing you how to make deviled eggs 3 ways. I'm going to start with this adorable hatching chick and classic deviled egg filling. Then we're going to do a wonderful guacamole style deviled egg with all your favorite flavors of Mexico. And then we're going to finish with a delectable loaded baked potato deviled egg. Let's get started. The first thing we need to do is cook our eggs. The easiest and best way that I found to do this is by placing them into a large pot and then filling with just enough water to cover. We're going to bring the water up to a boil. Once it reaches a boil, turn off the heat and then cover with a large lid, or in my case, a pan. You're going to let them sit in this hot water for 10 to 12 minutes. 10 minutes will give you a nice creamy yolk, 12 minutes will make a slightly firmer yolk. After cooking for 10 to 12 minutes in the hot water, you want to take them out immediately and place them into an ice water bath. This will stop the cooking process, and you want to leave them in the ice water for about 15 minutes to cool down completely before proceeding. To begin on our hatching chick deviled egg, you want to go to the side that doesn't have the yolk and cut off just a very little bit from the bottom here. That will allow it to stand straight up and down just like this without falling over. Next, we want to go to the end that has the yolk on it, about a third of the way down, and cut across that to make a sort of hat that we can pull off in one piece so we can use it again later and top off our hatched chick. Just run your knife around or cut through, and then gently pry off the top just like this and set it aside for later. That exposes the yolk here, and we're going to go ahead and take our bowl, squeeze out our yolk, and if any of the yolk remains inside of your egg, you can use a tablespoon or the back of a spoon handle to scrape it out gently and put that in with the rest of your yolk to make the filling. Repeat this same process until you've broken down all of your eggs and you have your yolks into a bowl. Then we're going to add in our mayonnaise, a good healthy dose of salt, followed by a little bit of ground black pepper, and finally a touch of mustard. Now, these recipes that I'm giving you here are more of a guideline today, and again, check out the description below, there's always recipes included. However, you need to adjust this to your taste. If you like them a little bit more creamy, add a little bit more mayonnaise. If you like it a little bit more spicy, throw in some paprika. It's all up to you. This recipe is more of a guideline and a technique than an exact recipe with measurements. To fill the eggs, you can absolutely just spoon your filling in and not worry about this. However, I find it easier to pipe in the filling. So I'm going to make a makeshift piping bag out of a plastic bag that I have, a cup, and a spoon. Simply take something like a Ziploc bag or a little plastic bag that I have, stretch it into a cup, pressing it down using the back handle of a fork or spatula, then spoon all of your filling in, and you have a makeshift piping bag. This works fantastic and you don't have to worry about cleaning it up. With your filling loaded into the bag, pull it out of the cup, and then you're going to gently work the filling down to the end, making sure there aren't any large air bubbles in here that'll cause gaps when you're piping it out. Twist the back end of the bag just like this to create a little bit of forward pressure and work out all those air bubbles. Finally, take a knife or a pair of scissors and snip off the tip just like this to turn this into a piping bag. Spoon or pipe an equal amount of filling into each one of your hollowed out eggs. Finally, we're going to take the back of a spoon and smooth out the surface of our egg yolk filling. I think it looks a little bit better this way. You can absolutely skip this step if you'd like, but I do think it makes it look a little bit nicer. The little piece of egg white that we cut off earlier goes on top to make a little hat. Now we need to cut out some beaks and feet from carrots, so we're going to begin by cutting out some thin carrot rounds and then breaking them down a little further. I'll be honest, I'm a fairly simple guy, so I'm making a fairly simple pattern, but you can absolutely make these a lot more intricate if you like. I like to take each medallion and then cut it into quarters, and then take each one of these quarters and cut it twice just like this. What you're left with is one piece right here, which makes a foot, and two pieces, which make a beak. My carrot rounds are purposely a little thicker so that you guys can see them a little bit better, but when you do this at home for yourself, you definitely want to make these a little thinner so they look a little bit more realistic and are easier to work with. Slide two pieces of carrot feet underneath the front, just like this, and then we're going to take two pieces of beak and push them right into our filling mixture, just like this. Now, when it comes to the eyes, you have a few options. I'll be using some whole black peppercorns. You can use black peppercorns, capers, some black sesame seeds, or if you really like, you can take a straw and press it through a black olive, push out the little rounds, and then you have some black olive eyes that you can use. And just like that, you have some delicious and extremely adorable hatching chick deviled eggs. Definitely spruces up your next dinner party. Next up, we have our guacamole-inspired deviled egg. We're going to begin by taking our egg yolks and adding a decent amount of salt to them. Then we're going to add a touch of cumin. I'll be adding mayonnaise to mine. Now you can use all mayonnaise, you could use all avocado, or you could use a mixture of both avocado and mayonnaise for a bit more creamy texture. Just depends on how much guacamole flavor you want. Mix your egg yolk mixture really well at this point because when we add our other ingredients, we don't really want to mash it very hard. We want to just fold them in to keep their wonderful texture. We're going to add in some very finely diced green onions, along with some very finely diced tomato. A very generous dose of my favorite ingredient in the world, cilantro. Some very finely diced peppers, jalapenos would be great in this. And we're going to finish this off with a bit of freshly squeezed lime juice. Now we want to fold this together gently so we don't break up all of our wonderful ingredients and it retains its texture. That's why we pre-mixed all the egg yolk mixture and then put our ingredients in. We're going to give this a little taste before going on and make any adjustments that we might need. Load it up into our bag just as we did before, roll it down and snip the tip just as before, and pipe it into your egg whites. Remember when cutting the tip for your piping bag, you might need to be a little bit more generous with the cut here because you're going to have your tomato and onions and such in there, and you want to make sure to have a large enough opening that they can come out. Finally, we're going to top each of these with a little bit extra cilantro to identify them and add flavor. And there you go, you've completed your guacamole-inspired, Mexican-flavored, lovely and delicious deviled eggs. And finally, we have our loaded baked potato-inspired deviled egg. It begins just like before with our egg yolks, but instead of mayonnaise or avocado, we're actually going to mix in sour cream. This adds tremendous flavor as well as a great texture. We're going to add some salt, of course, along with some ground black pepper. And make sure to cream this very, very well until it's as smooth as you'd like before we add in the rest of our ingredients. Using a very fine dice for all of these ingredients so they'll be able to be piped out, I'm going to put in some crispy bacon bits, a bit of mixed cheese, and some green onions. Give this a gentle mix here to make sure everything's incorporated, and then like before, we're going to load it up into our bag, making sure to cut a hole large enough that our ingredients can pass through our bag, and then we fill all of our egg whites. I like to top mine off with a little bit more crispy bacon and some cut green onions, just for that little bit of freshness right at the end. And there you go, you have your loaded baked potato inspired deviled eggs. Guys, it really is just that easy to make these 3 delicious deviled egg varieties in your own home tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope I've inspired you. I hope to see you all again here next week on the next episode of Minimalist Gourmet.